Hello, everyone. I'm really glad you're here today because what we're going to talk about can completely change the way you use English in your daily life. Let me start by saying something honest. Most people don't struggle with English because they are bad at it. They struggle because their brain is working too hard. They listen in English, then translate in their head, then try to speak. And by that time, everything feels slow, confusing, and stressful. If that sounds like you, relax. You're not alone, and you're not broken. Today, I want to talk to you like a real person, not a teacher in a classroom. I want to show you how English can slowly become something natural in your mind, something calm, something that feels normal. Not perfect, just natural. Here's something important you should know. Your brain is flexible. It can change. It can learn new habits. When you give it English every day, even in small amounts, it starts to adjust. At first, English feels like a foreign guest in your head. But over time, it starts to feel familiar, like a regular visitor who doesn't need an invitation anymore. Thinking in English does not happen in one day. It's a process, and that process starts with listening. Listening is powerful, even when you don't understand everything. In fact, not understanding everything is normal. When I started, I didn't sit with a notebook and write every word. I just listened. While walking, while cleaning, while resting. English was just there in the background. At first, it sounded like noise. Real noise. But something interesting happened. My ears started recognizing sounds, then words, then short phrases. I didn't force it. I let it happen. And that's the key. Listening is not about pressure. It's about exposure. You don't need perfect content. You need content you enjoy. If you like food, watch cooking videos. If you like sports, listen to interviews. If you like stories, watch simple shows. When you enjoy something, your brain stays open. When you're bored, your brain shuts down. So let English come into your life naturally, like music playing in the room. Now, once you start hearing English often, something else becomes very important. Repetition. A lot of learners think progress means learning something new every single day. But real progress often comes from repeating the same thing again and again. That's how the brain builds comfort. Think about a song you love. The first time, you barely understand the lyrics. After a few times, you start singing along without trying. English works the same way. When you repeat short audio, short videos, or short conversations, your brain stops panicking. It starts saying, "Oh, I know this," and confidence begins to grow. I remember repeating one simple phrase many times because I knew I would need it in real life. I didn't memorize it like a robot. I just heard it, said it, heard it again, said it again. One day, I used it naturally without thinking. That moment feels amazing. Repetition turns effort into habit. And when repetition feels easier, you can make learning more active. This is where simple stories help a lot. You don't need long, complex stories. Small stories are enough. Very small. A person, a place, an action. For example, imagine a man walking into a shop on a rainy day. He buys something. Something unexpected happens. That's it. Now your brain has a picture. Once you have a picture, you can play with it. You ask yourself questions. Where did he go? Why was it raining? What did he buy? And you answer them in English. Simple answers, short answers. This is not a test. This is thinking practice. When you do this, you're not translating. You're building thoughts directly in English. Slowly, naturally. And the best part is, you can do this anywhere. In your room, on a bus, before sleeping. Now let's talk about something that scares many learners, grammar. Let me tell you something clearly. Grammar is not your enemy. The problem is how grammar is usually taught. Rules, charts, long explanations. That makes people freeze when they speak. A better way is to learn grammar through examples and situations, through stories. When you hear a sentence like, "I went to the park yesterday," your brain understands past time without reading a rule. When you hear, "I'm going to the park tomorrow," your brain feels future time. You don't need to label it. You just need to notice it. You can take one simple sentence and change time. I wake up early. I woke up early. I will wake up early. That's it. No pressure, no heavy thinking, just practice. Over time, grammar becomes a feeling, not a calculation. Another powerful thing that helps a lot is learning through things you care about. When you connect English to your interests, learning feels lighter. It feels personal. It feels real. Maybe you love travel. Maybe you love fitness. Maybe you love stories, news, or technology. When English is connected to something you already enjoy, your motivation stays alive. Your brain remembers emotional experiences better than boring ones, so make English part of your life, not just your study time. Now let's talk about words. Many people try to learn words alone, like a list. But words alone are weak. Words inside sentences are strong. When you learn a word in context, with a situation, your brain understands how to use it. Sometimes you hear a phrase and it doesn't make sense at first, but then you see how people use it, and suddenly it clicks. Context gives meaning. Context gives confidence. And finally, there is one habit that connects everything we talked about. Consistency. You don't need hours. You need regular contact. 10 minutes a day is better than 2 hours once a week. A little listening, a little reading, a little thinking. Every day. When English becomes a daily habit, it stops feeling like a subject. It starts feeling like a part of you. And yes, speaking can feel scary. That's normal. Everyone feels that fear. But speaking even to yourself is powerful. Describe your day. Say what you're doing. Say what you're thinking. Mistakes will happen. And that's okay. Mistakes are not failure. They are signs of growth. English is not about being perfect. It's about being comfortable. Take small steps. Stay patient. Trust the process. You know, once you start getting comfortable with English in your head, something interesting begins to happen. You don't feel as tired when you listen. You don't feel as nervous when you hear someone speak. Your brain stops saying, "Oh, no, English again," and starts saying, "Okay, I can handle this. I can..." That calm feeling is important, because language is not just about words. It's about emotions. When you feel relaxed, your brain learns faster. When you feel scared or stressed, your brain shuts down. So one of the biggest goals in learning English is to stay calm with it. That's why I always say don't rush yourself. Many learners want fast results. They want to speak fluently in 1 month. They compare themselves to others. They feel bad when progress feels slow. But learning a language is not a race. It's more like growing a plant. You water it a little every day. And one day you look back and realize how much it has grown. Now let's talk about thinking in English during daily life. You don't need special time for this. You can do it while living your normal life. When you wake up, you can think simple thoughts in English. I'm awake. I feel sleepy. I need water. These are small thoughts, but they matter. When you're doing something, describe it in your mind. I'm making tea. I'm opening my laptop. I'm going outside. This may feel strange at first, but it trains your brain to use English for real situations, not just lessons. At first, your thoughts will be very simple. That's okay. Simple is powerful. Simple means your brain is learning to think directly, not translate. And if your brain jumps back to your native language, don't get angry at yourself. That's normal. Just gently bring it back to English when you can. Learning is not about control. It's about patience. Another helpful habit is speaking out loud, even when no one is around. Yes, I know it can feel awkward. You might think, why am I talking to myself? But this is one of the safest ways to practice speaking. There is no pressure, no judgment, no fear. You can talk about your plans. You can talk about your feelings. You can even talk nonsense. The goal is not to sound smart. The goal is to move your thoughts from your head to your mouth. The more you do this, the more natural speaking feels. Now, let's talk about mistakes, because this is where many learners get stuck. Mistakes feel embarrassing, especially when speaking. You worry about grammar. You worry about pronunciation. You worry about sounding foolish. But here's the truth. Mistakes are normal. Even native speakers make mistakes. They forget words. They say the wrong thing. And life goes on. When you make a mistake in English, nothing bad happens. The world doesn't stop. People still understand you. And even if they don't, you can explain again. Every mistake teaches your brain something new. It shows you where to grow. So instead of thinking, I made a mistake, try thinking, I just learned something. That mindset changes everything. Another thing that really helps is hearing real spoken English, not just textbook English. Real English is messy. People pause. People repeat themselves. People use simple words. When you listen to real conversations, podcasts, or videos, you realize that perfect English is not required to communicate. This realization removes a lot of pressure. When you hear real English, you also learn how sentences actually sound, how words connect, how people express emotions. This helps your speaking sound more natural over time. And remember, you don't need to understand every word. Understanding the main idea is enough. Your brain will slowly fill in the gaps. Now let's talk about vocabulary in a smarter way. Instead of learning single words, learn small phrases. Phrases are more useful. They help you sound natural and confident. For example, instead of just learning a verb, notice how people use it in a sentence. Notice what words often come before or after it. This helps your brain remember how to use it in real life. When you hear a new phrase, repeat it softly. Think of a situation where you can use it. Maybe even say it out loud later. This turns passive listening into active learning. Also, don't try to learn too many new words at once. A few useful words, used many times, are better than many words you forget quickly. Slow learning is strong learning. Another thing I want to talk about is confidence. Confidence does not come before speaking. Confidence comes after speaking. You build it by doing, not by waiting. Many learners think, I'll speak when I'm ready. But the truth is, you become ready by speaking. Start small. One sentence, one idea, one short conversation. Every time you speak, your fear becomes smaller. And here's something important. Most people are kind. Most people respect effort. They don't expect perfection. They just want to understand you. So give yourself permission to try. Also, be careful about comparing yourself to others. Everyone has a different journey. Some people speak fast but make many mistakes. Some speak slowly but clearly. Both are okay. Your progress is your own. Consistency is what connects everything we're talking about. You don't need motivation every day. Motivation comes and goes. What you need is a routine. Something simple that you can repeat. Maybe you listen to English every morning. Maybe you read a short paragraph every night. Maybe you speak to yourself for 5 minutes a day. Choose something small and realistic. Small habits are easier to keep, and when you keep them, results come quietly. One day, you'll notice something surprising. You'll understand a sentence without translating. You'll respond faster. You'll think in English without trying. That moment feels powerful, and it comes from patience, not pressure. Learning English is not about forcing your brain. It's about guiding it. Be kind to yourself. Stay curious. Keep showing up. As you keep going on this journey, you'll start to notice a quiet change inside you. It won't be loud or dramatic. It will be subtle. One day, you'll hear English, and instead of feeling tense, you'll feel curious. Instead of fear, you'll feel interest. That's when you know something is working. At this stage, it's very important to protect your mindset. Many learners are too hard on themselves. They notice every mistake. They focus on what they can't do yet. That kind of thinking slows everything down. Language grows better in a friendly environment, not a stressful one. So try this. When you catch yourself thinking, "My English is bad," stop and change it to, "My English is improving." That small change matters. Your brain listens to how you talk to yourself. Now let's talk about pronunciation, because this is another area that causes fear. You do not need a perfect accent. You need clarity. English is spoken with many accents around the world. What matters most is that people can understand you. Focus on being clear, not perfect. A great way to improve pronunciation is to listen and copy, not study rules. Choose a short audio clip. Listen carefully, then repeat it out loud. Copy the rhythm. Copy the pauses. Copy the feeling. This is called shadowing, and it works because you're training your mouth and ears together. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Your mouth may feel slow. That's normal. New muscles are learning new movements. Do this slowly, gently. Even 1 or 2 minutes a day helps. Another powerful habit is asking simple questions in your head. Questions push your brain to think. They make English active instead of passive. For example, after watching a short video, ask yourself, "What was it about?" Answer in simple English. 1 sentence is enough. You don't need a long explanation. This practice helps your brain organize thoughts in English. It prepares you for real conversations. And speaking of conversations, let's talk about real-life use. You don't need to wait for a perfect moment to use English. You can create small moments yourself. Maybe you write a short comment online. Maybe you send a short message. Maybe you answer a simple question. These small uses build courage. And when you don't know a word, don't panic. Use another word. Explain in a different way. Communication is not about perfect words. It's about sharing meaning. Sometimes you'll feel stuck. Sometimes progress will feel slow. That's normal too. Learning is not a straight line. Some days feel great. Some days feel heavy. The important thing is to not stop completely. Even on tired days, do something small. Listen for 5 minutes. Read 1 paragraph. Say 1 sentence. That keeps the connection alive. Another thing that helps a lot is reviewing old material. Many learners only move forward, but going back is powerful. When you review something you learned before, it feels easier. That ease builds confidence. You realize, "Oh, I understand this now." That feeling is motivating. Also, don't be afraid of silence when speaking. You don't need to fill every second with words. Pausing is natural. Native speakers pause all the time. Take a breath, think, then speak. Silence is not failure. It's part of communication. Now let's talk about thinking speed. Many learners worry because they think slowly in English. But speed comes with familiarity. You cannot force it. The more you listen and use English, the faster your brain responds. At first your brain walks, then it jogs, one day it runs. Trust that process. Another helpful tip is to accept that you will never know all the words. Even native speakers don't. Language is endless. The goal is not to know everything. The goal is to know enough to live, work, and connect. Focus on usefulness, not completeness. Learn words and phrases that you actually need. Words you can use in your life. That makes learning meaningful. And remember, English is a tool, not a test. You are not being judged. You are communicating. One of the best signs of progress is when you stop translating full sentences. When ideas come directly in English, even if they are simple, that's real growth. Celebrate that. Don't ignore it. You can also help your brain by being patient with listening. Sometimes you'll understand everything. Sometimes you'll understand only the idea. Both are okay. Understanding improves naturally when exposure increases. Try listening to the same content again after a few days. You'll be surprised how much more you catch. Your brain is always learning, even when you don't notice. Now I want to say something important. You are allowed to enjoy learning English. It doesn't have to be stressful. It doesn't have to be heavy. It can be light. It can be fun. It can be part of your daily life. When you remove pressure, progress speeds up. So keep listening. Keep repeating. Keep thinking. Keep speaking, even a little. Be consistent, not perfect. Over time, English will stop feeling like a foreign language and start feeling like a familiar voice in your mind. And when that happens, speaking becomes easier, calmer, and more natural. You're not late. You're not slow. You're learning. And that's exactly where you need to be.